This is the station Iowans go to when they want to know what's going on. 600 WMT.
Twenty before 11 o'clock here at Broadcast Park. 50 degrees now on the thermometer at 600 WMT. Doug Wagner with you, joined by Justine SanFilippo on the telephone with us. Good morning, Justine. How are you today?
I'm great, Doug. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you for joining us here on what's happening at 600 WMT. And when I saw the information that you had to talk about, I just all right, got to talk about it. It's something that's so important because, whether it's a new food issue, whether it's a food issue that's being dragged up from the past, you've got 10 tips to drag people away from the table. I mean, I'm looking at this. It says, according to the Calorie Control Council, the average American may eat more than 4,500 calories and 229 grams of fat on Thanksgiving. That's,
yes,
you know what I call
crazy?
I call that a good start, Justine. That's what I call that.
It's a good start.
Yeah,
a good start to the holiday season. And then it just drags on through Christmas and New Year's, and no wonder people gain a lot of weight during the holidays typically.
Well, you're a certified health coach, a nutritionist, and a personal trainer, so you've got the total package when it comes to giving us the kind of ideas we need in order to not only survive the holidays, but actually thrive. Where do we start out with the whole thing?
I think the whole thing starts off with developing healthy habits before and maintaining your healthy habits through the holiday season. And granted, it's the beginning of November, so still a few weeks till Thanksgiving. But if a person typically exercises or typically brings their meals to work or eats healthy portions, it's really maintaining those habits through the season. And then when there is temptation, like there is your grandma's pecan pie or whatever it is that's sort of like you love it, is really moderating portions at that time too.
Oh, see, that's the whole thing. I was an economics major, okay? So for me, if one's good, five is better, especially if I can hold it. I mean, literally, for me, it's like this marginal economy. I'm good with eating it up to the point where I actually sort of feel ill. What you're saying is that if you have a little bit of everything, it may actually work out in your favor?
Absolutely. And my history is, in college I put on 45 pounds in 4 sizes, and so I went through what a lot of people go through of trying various diets and trying to lose it. And when it was the holidays at that point in my life, I would pretty much eat everything, and I would feel sick, and I would be very water-retentive for 3 days, and everything would be sore. So I understand being there, but in my journey and what I teach my clients is let's say you are craving something, like everyone craves chocolate here and there or whatever it is. It's just to have a little bit. Because if you tell yourself, I'm not going to have any, typically that craving will creep up on you later, and then you'll eat too much of it, and you'll feel guilty, and then you'll just sort of give up and start the cycle all over. So if a person is craving chocolate or is craving a little pumpkin pie, have a little bit, enjoy the experience versus feeling guilty, and then your waistline stays the same size.
Justine SanFilippo joining us here on 600 WMT and What's Happening. She is a nutritionist, a personal trainer, and a certified health coach, getting some tips for going into the holiday season and eating. And there's one thing that you recommend just to stay away from altogether. What is that?
Well, if you know that there's one, sometimes it's a trigger food, or even it could be alcohol. Like that's your trigger, and you have absolutely no control around it. That might be something to stay away from.
Yeah, and for
Where
me,
you just know there's just no way in the world that you can even moderate portions.
Exactly.
Keep it out of sight. If people bring it over to your house and you're hosting Thanksgiving, give it away with them when they leave your house, and really not to just have it around as temptation, so you're not eating pie in the morning for breakfast.
You mean that's not the usual thing to do? Pie for breakfast isn't a good thing? We're sitting here with our mouths open
I've been known
going, what?
to do it too, but it definitely doesn't help with healthy habits.
Yeah. Well, eggnog is another one of those things that I love it. The taste of it, the way that it just coats your mouth, but it's the danger, isn't it?
It's really, not only is it high in calories, so 1 cup could have almost 400 calories,
Mm-hmm.
but there's 60 grams of sugar, and 1 teaspoon of sugar equals about 4 grams. So that's a lot of teaspoons
Yeah.
of sugar right there. And it just really goes to your hips. Like, it just, it's not being used as energy at that point. And most people typically don't just have 1 cup of eggnog. They'll have 2, maybe even 3, maybe even mix it with some alcohol. So it's just not advisable.
Yeah. Instead of that, I mean, you suggest drinking a lot of water, especially because the Thanksgiving dinner typically is full of sodium, especially if you use some prepackaged stuff out there as well, right?
Yes, there's a lot of sodium in a lot of foods, the gravies, the stuffings, any sort of broth that's used, butter. I mean, if a person's cooking if they are the chef of the Thanksgiving meal, just looking at the labels at the sodium, they'll be really astounded.
Yeah.
So try to get the low sodium versions of various items, but also drinking water actually helps lose water weight. People think it's the opposite. People think if you're retaining water that you don't want to drink water, but you actually want to drink water because it tells the body that it doesn't need to hold on to water from food sources.
Okay.
So it actually releases extra water weight. But yeah, lots of water. If you're drinking alcohol, try to have a glass of water after the alcohol to dilute that and get that through your system quicker as well.
Justine SanFilippo joining us here on What's Happening at 600 WMT. Some tips for healthier eating and healthier living throughout the holidays, and focusing on Thanksgiving specifically. You've got 2 teams that play on Thanksgiving. The Detroit Lions always play and the Dallas Cowboys always play. And I'll tell you what else always happens during those games. Chicken wings, chips, I mean, the most unhealthy foods that you can think of. What can we do to change things up a little bit for our routine for football games?
Yes, and I understand. I mean, I have a lot of friends that are huge football fans. Like, I get it, but if you just look at what they're eating during the game, it's just not good. Yeah, the chicken wings, frozen snacks, like little pizza pocket things. I don't even know what's in those. So instead, it's better because you are going to snack during a football game, so let's just be clear with that. So let's have healthier options available. A raw vegetable platter with some healthy dips or some hummus. You can have a fruit platter. You can even make like little turkey sandwiches. So just having things where very accessible that are healthier will lead to a better experience while watching your favorite team lose or win.
So what's the benefit to eating the Thanksgiving meal earlier on? I mean, for me, I'm thinking it takes a while to get that done. I mean, how does that benefit you if you have your Thanksgiving meal earlier rather than later?
Sure. I recommend to eat Thanksgiving, and we've been doing this in my family for years, around like maybe 2 o'clock, 3 at the latest, because you're getting up really early just to get the turkey in the oven anyway, because it has to be in there for so long. But then that way you have more time to digest your food, because inevitably right after you eat your Thanksgiving meal, you are going to feel a little bit sluggish just because of the tryptophan in the turkey.
Oh, yeah.
So then you could rest, digest, then when you're feeling lively, take a little walk, burn off some extra calories that you ingested, and then you have the whole rest of the evening, and then you're not going to bed on a full stomach where it just sits there and isn't burned off.
And then on top of everything else, you have time to take away if you eat earlier, you can take the leftovers, and instead of rummaging through them, you can actually have time before you go to bed to have, after they cool, let them put them in plastic and get them frozen, because you can use that stuff later on as well.
Right. And because Thanksgiving meal, it actually can be healthy. I mean, turkey is healthy. Mashed potatoes can be healthy without all the extra cream and butter. If you do like plain sweet potatoes. So there's healthy elements to a Thanksgiving meal. So yes, making a little extra of the healthy portions and freezing it, putting it in the fridge, so then the next day you can make turkey sandwiches. You have a lot of ready meals ready to go, and not feeling the need to finish everything on Thanksgiving, because that's not only not healthy, but it's just not possible, I don't think.
Yeah. Well, they just aren't trying hard enough, Justine. That's all it is. No.
They need to stuff their stomach even more. And I remember some Thanksgivings specifically where and this was before I knew much about nutrition, where I did actually have to unbutton the top of the pants because I had eaten too much.
Yeah.
So I try to help people not do that because
No.
you just don't feel good.
It can get kind of brutal because, I mean, especially this time of year and especially with Thanksgiving, because the kickoff to the holidays, really, it can really send you spinning out of control in one way or the other. Either in a, I'm not going to touch any food for the rest of the year, and that's not healthy, or the, man, I can't stuff my face full enough of food, and that's not healthy either. So keeping up with the routine and exercise as well. Justine SanFilippo, thank you so much for joining us here on What's Happening in 600 WMT. Hope you have a great holiday.
Thanks so much, Doug. I appreciate it.
All right, take care. It's 10:51 right now at Broadcast Park. At the top of the hour, we've got Fox News for you, the latest on the elections. I'm sure there's some other news out there, too. And then we've got Randy Lee in for Jim Doyne for the Ask the Expert program coming up here after 11 o'clock news block on 600 WMT.